applied to Apple back then, and they made you build a login form with React. So you had to build like a whole login flow and sign up flow with React and Redux. And they didn't end up hiring me, but I open sourced this app that did a login flow with React, and ended up getting 2,000 stars on GitHub later on when it became popular. And so I joked that I'm probably the only person in the world that's ever done a job interview that got 2,000 stars on GitHub, but then didn't get hired, which is kind of ironic. I was in university, and we were going on our annual family skiing trip over Christmas. And I remember vividly the day. This was the 27th of December, 2015. I woke up in the morning, and I don't remember, but I want to say hundreds of emails from GitHub. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so I looked at GitHub, and I was like, all these issues that were open in React Boilerplate and all these PRs that were open. And I was like, what's happening? And then I clicked through to the repo, and React Boilerplate overnight had gone from 0 to 600, 700 stars. And it kept getting more and more stars. Every time I refreshed, there would be more and more stars. And I was like, what's happening? I don't understand what's happening. And so I tweeted, there's literally a tweet of mine where I'm like, hey, React Boilerplate's getting a lot of stars. Does anybody know why? And this person responded, yeah, I know why. You're on the front page of Hacker News. And I was like, cool. What's Hacker News? Because I had no idea what that was. And so I was just on the front page of Hacker News. Some random person that picked up React Boilerplate, liked it, posted it on Hacker News. Hacker News liked it, ended up upvoting or starring the shit out of it and upvoting it. And so by the end of like 3 days later, it probably had 2,000, 3,000 stars. And I was suddenly a well-known person in the industry. And then I had a really good friend and mentor, or have a really good friend and mentor called Nick Graf, who was a big figure in the Vienna React.js ecosystem, because he ran the React Vienna meetup and is a mentor to many, many people in the ecosystem. And he told me to go speak at conferences, and that's really where my career started taking off.
I think I just put it in chat, but I think I might have. Is this the tweet that
you actually found? The tweet? No. This is way later.
This is later. Okay, I was about to be that would be crazy if, because I was looking.
No, I almost want to try to find it though. That would be insane.
Oh wait, hold on. This is 8 years ago. Yeah, let me send it. Let me send it in chat. I'm screen sharing right now. But
I tweeted a lot about React Boilerplate, so I'm not surprised that this is difficult to find. No, these are all just updates. No, I literally tweeted, does anybody know why it's getting a lot of stars or something like that? Like it was literally that wording was somewhere in there. But I mean, I know the date, 27th of December, 2015. If you can scroll back that far you could probably use Twitter Advanced Search to find it, actually. If you search, I don't know that I want to do this live, but I'm definitely going to do this later.
my pro account search, like the radar thing right now. You can continue on while I attempt to use my Google skills for good.
Yeah, because I think if you go like dates from December 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2015 from MXSTBR, you'll probably be able to pull it up. I think I have to search.
Yeah, I see you thanking somebody for posting the library on Hacker News.
Man, you're faster than me.
Yeah. Drop the link here. Man, this is awesome. Just overnight, things like that can happen, change your entire trajectory. Yep. Power of internet.
100%. And I always say this to people. I think, people look at my career and they go, and they go, man, this guy just got lucky. And every single time I did something, people go, it's lucky, Like I got that internship, and that happened to be the time when React was released, and they were interested in React, and so they were like, you should go try React. And then randomly React Boilerplate blew up on Hacker News. And then later on, many other things happened where people sort of assume that it's just luck. But the thing is, I sort of got lucky on purpose. I did a lot of things. Like even at this point when React Boilerplate blew up, I had probably made 20 to 30 open source repositories on GitHub, at least. Each one of them was something that I thought could maybe blow up, and I was trying to get other people to use it. And none of them did. And in fact, even now, if you look at my GitHub profile, yeah, I've made a lot of popular things, but my hit rate is like 1% or less. You know what I mean? Like I've made hundreds of repositories. Most of them, nobody's ever cared about. Nobody's ever used. Nobody's ever looked at them. Nobody's ever even attempted to use them, But because I made that many, I had the chance for one of them to blow up under air quotes randomly. And the truth is, yeah, I got lucky in my career. And if I hadn't gotten lucky in this specific way with React Boilerplate and Hacker News, I would have gotten lucky in some other way, I'm sure. My specific career, yes, was some part of chance. But the actual truth is, I would have had a great career no matter what. It would have been maybe slightly different. I would have been maybe working on different things. But ultimately, I have no doubt that I would have been lucky in another way too, because I just gave myself all of these chances to become lucky.
It's because it's the consistency that you did. And this leads me into my next question. But before I get there, you kept pushing out OSS tools and different things and stuff like that. And if you only pushed out like 3 or 4 of them, you probably weren't going to get hit. Because, I mean, I don't know physics that well, but it's like a scatter plot. And I know if you hit one, then the likelihood, if you have more, your likelihood of you getting selected is higher chances. And that's probably a horrible physics take. But anyways, leading into my question. So you made all these OSS repositories, open source repositories. Did you make them just because you found them helpful as your own tools, or like you're like, all right, I'm going to make this OSS repository because I'm going to help this niche or something like that?
No, I was always solving my own problem. I joke that I'm lazy because I work fucking hard, and I enjoy working hard. But I joke that I'm the hardest lazy guy ever, the hardest working lazy person ever, because I am extremely lazy. I hate solving the same problem twice. That frustrates the never-ending shit out of me. Like, why would I solve the same? That's uninteresting. You know what I mean? Like, I want to solve novel problems, new problems, interesting problems. And so when I kept having to solve this Webpack problem, I was like, why am I doing this over and over? That doesn't make any sense. Why? Let me just push this up to GitHub, And so, or like sharing buttons.io, which is another open source project that I made very early on. I was like, why do I I had to keep adding these sharing buttons to these websites that people made me build. And every single time you have to look up the exact syntax for how to do it on Facebook versus Instagram, and then you have to style it, and they have the correct link and use HTML and all this shit. And I was like, no, I'm just going to create a generator React web app where you just even put the URL and you get the sharing button HTML and you're good to go, It's like, I was always solving my own problems with these open source projects. That's really where they started. And I think that's a big part of the reason why in the startup world, now looking back 10 years later, this is common advice. The advice that YC, for example, gives is solve your own problem, because then you have a much higher chance of actually solving something that other people need too, because there's probably more people like you, potentially. And you still have to go talk to the user and you have to go figure it out. But if you're the user, then you know what's good and what's bad, because you're the one that wants to use it. Whereas if you're trying to make something for other people, it's much harder. And so I just ended up randomly doing that because of the kind of person that I am.